What's up, everybody? AJ here, host of the Madden NFL 12 podcast. And this is an excerpt from this week's podcast, which you can download right now on iTunes. And be sure to subscribe, leave us a comment, and rate it for us. Enjoy.
Just for everybody that's just catching this, right now we're talking to Z Farles, who's the co-author of the Prima Strat Guide, a member of the EA Sports Game Changers program. You may know him as a guy from MaddenBible.com. Before we get further in this, Zach, I just want to talk or tell everybody here a quote that comes from Mike Scantlebury that's on the back of the guide. Mike, for those who don't know. Mike is he's the guy that took down Game or The Game, however you'd like to refer to him. And
apparently he's dropped the
yeah,
in his
so
title.
It's just Game. But he needs to work on his game when it comes to playing Scantlebury.
I think Scantlebury should pick the up and be the Scant.
Yeah, well, this is what this is high praise coming from a guy like Scantlebury. He says, this is referring to Farles and Gibbs. He said, these guys know the game inside and out. Take their tips and use them to improve your game, and you'll be glad you did that. This is the first time I've ever seen a quote from Scantlebury when it comes to a guide, and it just goes to show the success that this guide will give people, the amount of work you guys have put in, and the true impact that the team feels that it'll have. But what I want to know, Farles, is on your end, if you're a guy. So, I always play with the Browns, but I'm looking for a lower-end team. Who's a lower-end team out there that you recommend to guys? Because, again, if you go online, like you said, and somebody's picking the Eagles, a lot of guys are not even going to play the game. Who's a lower-end team that you recommend with a good scheme that you can go online, everybody will sign up, yep, I'll play this guy, he's playing with that team, and you can still have a lot of success?
So for the true guys who are new, the Oakland Raiders are a very popular team in the tournament community. They're only a 74 overall, but the things they can do, they can match up one-on-one with the speed of the Eagles. They're one of the only teams in the game that gives you the ability to play man-to-man defense in multiple, a lot of the time. So if you're a guy who fancies a man-to-man defensive scheme, you got to look at the Eagles. And a lot of people, if you run into a guy who doesn't know how good they are, you might be able to fool them a little bit, and they might say, oh, yeah, I'll play the Raiders. They're never any good. But in Madden, the Raiders are a very strong football team. But like you said, the Carolina Panthers, I want to talk about them for a second. And Donnie Moore did a great job with Cam Newton's rating, and he talked a lot about this on the Pigskin Pro-Am live stream. He mentioned what he saw when he watched the tape of Cam Newton. So a lot of guys will say, well, Donnie Moore, he doesn't do this or this, but I know he sat down, watched Cam Newton. He watches all the games. He checks all the incoming rookies, follows stats, has scouting, and he said Cam Newton completes a very high percentage of short passes and deep passes. So if you see that rating reflected, you're going to see Cam Newton be a solid guy for the Carolina Panthers under center. He can scramble just enough to get out of any trouble. The Carolina Panthers also have three very strong running backs. You have John Beeson in the middle. They have very great speed at linebacker. So you can run a base defense with them most of the time. Because a lot of guys will come out in dime defense, and then they'll just get ran on because, unfortunately, the secondary players aren't quite as good at tackling. But if you can stay in a 4-3 longer or a 3-4 with the Carolina Panthers defense due to that speed at linebacker, so you can make all the tackles, you can play sideline to sideline, you have Chris Gamble out on the edge, and you're able to definitely do some damage. I've been hearing a lot of love for the Carolina Panthers early. And also the Cincinnati Bengals, whose defense, picking up Manny Lawson, picking up Taylor Mays via trade, Antoine Odom. The Bengals, everybody thinks they can beat the Bengals, but Andy Dalton gets it done for you. A.J. Green, the rookie, tremendous defense. Tremendous defense. Jonathan Joseph.
Yeah, that's interesting to choose the Bengals because, they're arguably the worst team. I think they're the lowest rated team in the game, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
they're down.
I believe so. And obviously losing Carson Palmer at this point in the season has been, certainly painful. I think it'll be painful on the field. But as far as defenses go, I would rank the overall team defenses. Eagles are up there because of their secondary. Packers are up there because of their secondary and Clay Matthews. But the Raiders and the Bengals are unbelievable. They're two teams that are very solid. As we all know, defense wins championships. And I think I want to stress out there to guys who might be a little bit nervous to play man-to-man coverage in Madden. A lot of the beginner players will play cover 3, and they'll just kind of drop back, and they won't really rush anybody. But I think if you can really mix up just every now and then call man-to-man defense, you you're not going to get burnt as much as you think, and it's going to change up the look. And these are some of the lower-rated teams that can really match up with even some of the best teams.
That was just an excerpt from this week's Madden NFL 12 podcast. Be sure to subscribe and download the full version, which is totally free on iTunes.